The sun had barely risen when dirt began flying under Chuck Norris's eyes. From a distance, he noticed the faint sound of shovels and machinery cutting into his farmland. A group of HOA workers were digging a tunnel, thinking they were clever, thinking no one would see. They laughed, mocking him, believing he was oblivious. But Chuck's calm gaze betrayed nothing. Every detail, every irregularity was logged in his mind. The tunnel grew deeper, threatening the integrity of his land, while the workers' confidence swelled. They did not realize they had underestimated a man whose skills and experience could stop them instantly. If you caught someone secretly destroying your property, what would you do? Chuck Norris walked along the edge of his farmland, eyes scanning every corner. His fields were calm, animals grazing, fences standing strong, and surveillance cameras capturing every movement. He moved with precision, disciplined, and observant, noting slight vibrations in the soil and subtle shifts in the earth. From the shadows the HOA members worked, arrogant and greedy, convinced their tunnel would remain hidden. Their machines dug deeper, throwing dirt into the air, laughter echoing their overconfidence. Chuck paused, assessing the situation, calculating their mistakes. Every detail mattered: property lines, structural integrity, and the pride of protecting his land. Though the farm seemed quiet, tension lingered, like the calm before a storm. He knew their greed had blinded them, and he prepared silently for the moment to confront their audacity. Every step he took reinforced that this was more than dirt and tunnels. It was a test of respect, authority, and justice. Chuck Norris noticed the first signs almost instinctively. A thin layer of soil piled unnaturally, slight vibrations through the ground, and faint, irregular sounds of digging echoing across his property. He approached carefully, moving silently through the tall grass, each step measured and deliberate. From the distance, he could see the HOA workers clustered around a partially collapsed tunnel entrance. They were arguing among themselves, laughing and pointing at the machinery they operated, confident their HOA authority protected them from any consequences. Their arrogance was palpable, their overconfidence blinding them to the fact that they were trespassing on land that was fiercely defended. Chuck circled the perimeter, observing every careless movement, every overlooked structural flaw, and every moment of negligence. He noted the way they handled the digging tools, the slight tremor of fear they masked with bravado, and the small mistakes that hinted at their inexperience. The audacity of the intrusion ignited a quiet but intense anger within him. His farmland, cultivated over years, was being threatened. And with it, the peace and integrity of the land he had sworn to protect. The stakes were immense. If the tunnel was completed, it could enable the HOA to push through a large-scale development, destroying his fields, his animals, and everything he had built. Yet Chuck did not act rashly. He knew that patience, observation, and timing would give him the upper hand. Each second he waited added weight to the inevitable reckoning, forcing the trespassers deeper into their own mistakes. Their laughter and mockery echoed foolishly, unaware of the storm closing in. Would you confront intruders immediately, risking exposure and chaos, or would you wait, watching every move, calculating the perfect moment to strike? Ensuring they would regret every misstep and every act of arrogance against you, Chuck moved silently along the edge of his property, every step deliberate, every glance sharp and precise. He took out his camera and began documenting the scene, photographs of the tunnel entrance, the displaced soil, the machinery, and each worker's careless positioning. Small details mattered. Footprints, handprints on tools, even the angle of the shovel digging through the earth. Every motion of the HOA workers was recorded, every arrogant gesture noted. The workers, confident in their HOA authority, grew louder and more careless. They laughed as dirt flew, shouting at one another over the rumble of machinery. They mocked the property, flaunting their perceived invincibility. They whispered jokes about Chuck's quiet presence, believing he was oblivious to their audacity. Their arrogance blinded them. Each careless move, each taunt only revealed more about their lack of foresight. Chuck remained calm, breathing slowly, his expression unreadable. Beneath that calm exterior, a mind calculated each risk, each opportunity. His experience in tactical strategy guided every choice. He positioned himself to have full visibility of the site, noting weaknesses in their work and vulnerabilities in their behavior. Every laugh, every careless step, every hand that slipped or tool mishandled was a puzzle piece in the counteraction he was preparing. Nearby, some locals walking past noticed the unusual activity. They paused, feeling tension in the air, but hesitated to intervene. Chuck's quiet intensity was enough to make even them step back, sensing something far greater than a simple property dispute. Suspense thickened with every passing moment. The audience could feel it, a calm before the storm. Chuck was waiting, biding his time. The question hung in the air. When would he strike, and how devastating would his response be? Every detail pointed to one inevitable outcome. The arrogant trespassers would soon regret underestimating the man who had prepared for this moment long before they had ever dared to dig. The workers continued digging aggressively, tossing dirt aside as if the earth belonged to them. The tunnel grew deeper, the sound of machinery echoing across the quiet farmland. Each swing of the shovel, each rumble of the excavator, increased the risk of structural collapse. Loose soil shifted, small cracks appeared, and the threat of discovery by local authorities loomed. Every hazard raised the stakes, but the workers ignored the warning signs, blinded by arrogance and greed. Chuck moved with calculated precision, shifting positions along the perimeter of his property. He analyzed angles, noting escape routes, potential leverage points, and weaknesses in their operation. His calm demeanor concealed a mind racing through countless scenarios. Every step, every hand signal of the workers, every careless laugh was logged mentally. He was preparing the ultimate confrontation, a response that would ensure justice and protect his land beyond any doubt. Finally, he spoke, his voice calm but firm. He warned them about the illegality of their actions, the damage they were causing, and the consequences they would face. The workers laughed, tossing his words aside as though they were meaningless. One even mocked him openly, calling him old and out of touch. Another waved the excavator controls, daring him to interfere. Their insults were meant to provoke, but Chuck's eyes remained steady, unwavering, full of quiet intensity. The tension became almost unbearable. The audience senses it, every second stretched with suspense. Questions linger. Will Chuck act through legal channels, with his own hands or with psychological strategy to dismantle the trespasser's arrogance? Each moment, the workers underestimated him, the closer they edged toward their downfall. The emotional weight builds. How far would anyone go to protect their property, their integrity, their legacy, when faced with reckless and entitled intruders? The air crackles with anticipation, every heartbeat counting down to the moment Chuck turns the tables. The arrogant trespassers remain oblivious, their overconfidence setting them on a collision course with consequences they never imagined. Chuck stepped forward, his calm presence commanding the entire site. He produced his credentials, revealing decades of legal authority, tactical expertise, and experience in security operations. The workers' laughter faltered as they realized he was not just a landowner, but a man who understood every rule, every law, and every tactical response required to protect his property. He displayed the evidence he had meticulously gathered: photographs of the tunneling, recordings of their conversations, and maps highlighting exactly where their illegal excavation threatened his land. Each piece was precise, undeniable, and left no room for argument. Chuck's control over the site was absolute. Security personnel he had discreetly positioned appeared, silently surrounding the intruders. Cameras captured every angle, ensuring the exposure of their reckless actions. The workers' confidence shattered. Their arrogance crumbled as panic crept into their eyes. They began to whisper among themselves, realizing that every misstep had been noted, every lie accounted for. Their tools felt heavy in their hands. The machinery now seemed like a trap rather than a weapon. Chuck did not raise his voice. He did not rush. His strategy was subtle, psychological, and devastating. Each step he took, each measured word radiated authority. The trespassers felt controlled, contained, and overwhelmed, unable to move without his permission. They understood they were trapped by law, strategy, and exposure. Local authorities were called, responding to Chuck's signals, adding pressure to the situation. Neighbors and bystanders watched in awe, some filming as the collapse of this HOA secret operation became inevitable. The audience feels the tension spike. Every second counts. Will the workers escape consequences, or will their greed and recklessness be fully exposed? The scene foreshadows complete collapse. The tunnel, their project, and their plans are about to be undone. Chuck stands ready, the calm eye in the storm, ensuring that justice, control, and the integrity of his land will prevail. Every element is in place for the dramatic reversal, and the trespassers sense it. They are trapped, powerless, and seconds away from witnessing the full impact of their folly. The moment Chuck had anticipated arrived, the illegal tunneling operation halted instantly. The machinery ground to a stop, throwing clouds of dust into the air. Workers froze, their arrogance replaced by panic and confusion. Security personnel escorted them off the site one by one, ensuring no further interference. The tunnel, the dig, and the entire project were officially declared illegal, leaving the trespassers exposed and humiliated. Chuck moved across his land with calm precision, inspecting every section of the farmland. He ensured the structural integrity of the soil, checked for hidden damage, and neutralized any potential risks left by the excavation. His experience in security and tactical strategy allowed him to secure the land completely, leaving no room for further threats. Each step reinforced his authority and control. The HOA members, once confident and brazen, now faced public exposure. Local neighbors, authorities, and bystanders had witnessed the entire confrontation. The shame of being caught red-handed, their greed and recklessness laid bare, struck hard. Their credibility was destroyed, their plans in ruins. The audience feels the satisfaction of justice delivered, the natural consequence of arrogance and deceit. Chuck turned to the gathered onlookers, his expression calm but commanding. He spoke firmly, his voice carrying weight. Abuse of power and greed always leads to failure. Those who think they are above the law eventually face the consequences. His words resonated, a lesson in integrity, vigilance, and accountability. Every aspect of the HOA project collapsed completely. The tunnel caved, their development plans were halted indefinitely, and their reputation lay in ruins. Chuck had not only protected his property, but had done so in a way that served justice, sent a clear warning, and upheld moral authority. The audience experiences the full emotional payoff, satisfaction, relief, and awe at the precision and decisiveness with which the situation was handled. Every element comes together for a dramatic and complete resolution. Calm returned to the farmland. Chuck walked the property, inspecting every corner, ensuring his land was safe and secure. The soil was stable, fences intact, and no traces of further damage remained. His presence alone reinforced vigilance and authority, a reminder that his land was protected. The HOA faced immediate legal consequences. Authorities investigated the illegal excavation, and the community watched closely, reflecting on the greed and arrogance that had led to such reckless actions. Neighbors whispered among themselves, realizing the cost of underestimating someone prepared, disciplined, and determined. The lesson was clear. Courage, strategy, and calm authority always prevail over recklessness and entitlement. Chuck's approach demonstrated that protecting what is yours requires intelligence, patience, and unwavering resolve. Brute force was unnecessary. Precision and foresight were enough to dismantle a dangerous plan. Property, integrity, and justice cannot be taken lightly. Those who attempt to violate boundaries or exploit others will face consequences when vigilance meets skill. The moral of the story resonates beyond land or wealth. It applies to standing up for what is right, confronting greed, and ensuring accountability. The audience is left to reflect. If you had the power to stop those trying to destroy what matters to you, how would you act? Would you confront them head-on, plan meticulously, or wait for the perfect moment to reclaim control? The answer reveals not just strategy, but character, courage, and the true meaning of responsibility.